Hey everybody, Melissa Sorrentino here. I am on number 2 point of my 5 audition tips, and the second tip is find security in your insecurities. Now this is a tip for more than auditions for sure. This is just the context I'm talking about it today. I may bring it up later in a more life context, but finding security in your insecurities for that day and for that gig and for that specific job. Something that you can do as a little bit of homework, a little bit of mental prep before your audition. I have some general things that I do as far as finding security in my insecurities. Obviously, it's not like I thought about these things. It's just, I've just been living my life. But now that I'm doing the channel, some things are bubbling up to the surface. And I'm like, wow, I have a lot to say. I guess when you're fairly quiet for a very large portion of your life, other than just intaking what other people are saying, it's my turn to start spewing out some stuff. So one of the things that I'm finding security in is getting older. Now, that's kind of counterintuitive to a lot of people, but the fact that I'm older is super, super fun for me. And one of the things that I do to find security in that is I call it out and I just have a good time with it. I'm just having a sense of humor about it. And I did not know that I would be like that. In fact, I remember being at a 40-something, remember those big over-the-hill parties? I don't know if people still do that or not, if that's like out of style. But when I was like in my early 20s, or maybe even like 19, 20, something like that. But it was my boyfriend at the time, and it was, I want to say his uncle maybe or something. But somebody was turning 40, and they had a big like over-the-hill party, and they had like black balloons and a black cake, and it said over the hill, and, happy birthday, and whatever. So that was the theme for the 40th birthday. And I remember being that young age and being like, oh my God, when I turn 40, I hope nobody, like that just seems mean. Like all these cards that were like talking about you're old and you got one foot in the grave and, you can't get it up anymore and you pee all the time. All the like old people jokes. But what I didn't realize when I was 20 or whatever is that you're not like that when you're 40. That's like more like when you're, in your 70s and 80s or whatever. I'm currently in my 40th year of life, 40th decade, somewhere in there. I'm not going to tell you where, but I'm in the 40th decade of my life. And, not really having all those issues that people supposedly have. Maybe, knock on wood, maybe I'm lucky. But anyway, so the thing is, finding security, one of the ways to find security in anything is to have a sense of humor about it. And the way that works is because what it does is it puts other people at ease with your insecurities. And that's something I do. I do it very naturally, like very instinctively. And I think it makes sense if I break this down. All right. Why are you insecure about your insecurity? Really think about it. And the answer is going to be something in the ballpark of what other people think. If you were alone on a desert island and you had a zit, you might not even bother to put a little bit of makeup on it to cover it up unless you had to walk by, an island mirror a lot and look at it yourself. I don't know. But there's no reason to judge yourself if you don't perceive that other people are judging you. It's totally unimportant. Like, what if you all of a sudden there was like a shift and like zits were in style? What if it was like, oh man, you have so many zits, I wish I had zits, and people are like, eating shit food and using shit face creams and stuff, trying to get zits. I know that sounds like a weird world, but what if that was the case? What if it was like totally hip and you were just this person that just couldn't get a zit to save your life and you were like, man, I hate this. Why do I have to be a person that everybody else gets zits, but I've never even had one zit. This is ridiculous. I'm 25 years old and I still never had one zit yet. You know, I mean, that could happen. It's some of our fashion things and what's hip or not hip or cool or not cool. They're different across different cultures. They're different across different eras. They are arbitrary. So a lot of the shit that you guys and me are insecure about are somewhat arbitrary anyway. So if you imagine a world where no one's judging you, that is a world that is a lot easier to live in, and it gives you confidence. So one of the things that I do naturally, sort of instinctively, is I like to diffuse anything anybody else is like worried on my behalf for. Okay, it's like oh, she's a poor thing, you know, she doesn't really have that great of a singing voice, but God bless her, she's trying. And I'm like, I like to just kind of like put it out there and be like, look, I think I'm a pretty good singer. Let's just see what happens, you know. But you know, I know I'm not a diva. You know, don't worry. It's not like I'm not wearing an ass hat in that department. And you know, I know I'm not like the best dancer in the whole world, but I do enjoy dancing. And you're gonna see me on the dance floor. And if I look like an ass, don't feel sorry for me, because I'm actually probably having a better time than anybody else. You know, it's just like I just own the shit I'm insecure about, and I'm insecure about enough shit. That honestly, I even have to stop that right there and say, I'm actually not insecure. And the reason is because I am secure in my insecurities. I am as secure about my insecurities as I am about my securities. And quite frankly, I can't really think of anything I feel that super secure about that I would ever want to lead with like, yeah, I'm like the awesomest improviser ever. I'm like, look, okay, I'm an okay improviser. I've been very lucky and blessed with some of the scenes that have just sort of accidentally occurred that I was blessed to be a part of. I think it's fantastic, you know, and yeah, there are eras when I'm in my groove with my improv and I hit a stride and I'm, you know, I'm, what's the word? Not rusty, whatever the opposite of rusty, when I'm like, I'm all lubed up and like in my prov head, and you know, and it coasts for a while and that feels great. And during that time, I'm like, hey, you know, yeah, I rock pretty much. I'm pretty fucking hilarious. And then but see, I'm presenting that. I know I'm joking. I know it's like there's odds are I could do a show tonight and suck ass. And I'm secure about that because it's okay with me. So being secure in your insecurities, all right? I'm going to leave you with something that I'm totally stealing and lifting from a book by Kimora Lee Simmons called Fabulosity. And, you know, that lady, she was insecure about being tall and gorgeous. Hello. But, you know, I very much vibed with what I was reading when I read her book, because I know, like, in this day and age, this might sound silly, and especially to, like, millennials and younger, you're not going to have a clue what I'm talking about, but I have, like, an ethnically ambiguous look, and no one knows what I am, and back when I first started auditioning for things, I didn't look white enough. It was like, what are you? And everybody expected me to speak Spanish, and then a little bit, if they were a little more sophisticated, they expected me to speak Italian, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm just an American chick from Michigan. It's just, you know, whatever genes got pulled from various relatives, this is what you got. And I don't know that I could blame that for my lack of bookings, but I certainly think that that had a lot to play into even just not getting called for auditions. And so that is something that a lot of us can get insecure about, just stuff like genetically. There's nothing that we can do except just play the very best hand with the cards we're dealt. And one way to do that in this particular video is to get secure about your own insecurities, okay? I went to this audition today and it just spontaneously came out, but when I handed the people my headshot and resume, I actually said, And, you know, I could have been all stressed because, you guys, I'm serious. I haven't auditioned. I can't remember. I wasn't even sure if I still had any headshots around, but I dug around in my office, and thank God it wasn't that hard to find because I really didn't have much time. But I found a headshot and I stapled a resume to the back of it, and I was like, okay, good enough. You know, the resume's old. The latest credit, I probably have 5 things, you know, maybe a dozen things I've done since then, just randomly, that I never bothered to put on my resume because I was like, I'm not auditioning, so who cares? So anyway, point is, this is being secure in your insecurities, and it just bubbled out of me because I think I genuinely am secure. So it's very easy for me to just lead with that because it's just the way I live my life anyway. So, and I didn't curb it because I was in an audition room. I just decided to just be the same old me that I am, you know, anywhere I go, anytime I go anywhere. So I handed them my headshot, and as I did, I think I said something like, I would like to introduce everyone to Melissa Sorrentino of approximately 10 years ago, so please don't look too closely around the eye area. And it got a big laugh, and it totally diffused the room. And, you know, God forbid if one of those auditors was like, oh, she looks a little old. I don't know if she's right for this job. Well, regardless if I'm right or not for that particular job, I presented myself well, and I did my best. That's all you can do, guys. All right, I did my best with this video, even though it runneth a little over my target time. But hey, c'est la vie. Take care, guys. Bye.